I just finished a 50K race about 2 days ago, and one of the things I like to really focus on is obviously recovery after races, especially when I have another race coming up. I have a 100 miler in about 4 or 5 weeks. So I need to recover from this 50K effectively as fast as possible so I can also get back into training to get a little bit more training in before the 100 miler. And so I'm going to talk about 3 different points that I use to recover after races, and I've used a lot of these strategies even just after long runs or when I ran 10 marathons in 10 days. Like, I have used these for most of my training, and I have one that a lot of people, I don't hear them talk about, but it seemed to work for me, so hopefully it works for you. So let's just get into it. The first thing I really, really enjoy, like I think is effective and is just really good for you when it comes to recovering from races or running, is Epsom salt baths. I think the brand I use is Dr. Teal's, Teal. You should be able to look up Epsom salt baths and just find anything. I've just happened to use that brand for years and I really like it. When I was running 10 marathons in 10 days, I did one of these baths like on marathon 3, and all my soreness went away, which was insane. I'd never really experienced that. I obviously still felt fatigue, and when I was maybe getting to the point of injury, like, I don't think an Epsom salt bath is going to fix that, but it does help with just the soreness, and I just felt like I could move a little bit better. Obviously, you still have to worry about breakdown of muscles and whatnot, and still get your protein and food in, whatever. But if you're trying to get rid of some soreness so you can walk around and function normally, an Epsom salt bath is really great for that. So each salt, brand has their own amount that you put into the bath. But what I do is I get the bath as hot as I can stand it. I think that's very a part of what makes it effective, because then also the salt can just work into the water, like dissolve. The heat's going to help it dissolve more. And the other part of this is there's benefits from like sauna or heat training type of thing. There's benefits from that stuff when it comes to recovery. And so I'm kind of doing both at once, where I'm in the bath for like 15 minutes, and then the Epsom salt bath seems to really help. I don't know exactly how it works, but I imagine it's, the salt is making its way into your body because you're in the bath for long enough. So I found that that's super helpful in getting and recovering faster. And then the second thing I like to do is some sort of active recovery. So walking is pretty good way to do this, but I'm a big fan of some sort of stationary bike. I have a stationary bike in my garage, so one of the things I do after races, whether it's the next day or maybe 2 days later, for example, in this race, I didn't yesterday, but I am going to, after I finish recording this, I'm going to hop on the bike for about 45 minutes. Anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour, I think, is really good. I try and shoot for 45 minutes because I think that's where you start hitting a decent amount of benefit when it comes to zone 2 training. And so I do very low heart rate, zone 1 for the most part, maybe zone 2. And so you need to go figure out your heart rate zones, because here's the thing: if you do active recovery but your heart rate's like 180 the entire time, like that's pushing your body and your heart a lot, when active recovery is supposed to be pretty easy, but it just helps with blood flows, or maybe getting a little bit more mobile because you're moving. And if you don't have a stationary bike, just go for a walk or an easy hike. Or you could do some yoga, which I think is another thing that's really good for recovery. I think it's better to just do that consistently to stretch and whatnot, but obviously after a race, you're extra tight and extra sore. I think running or stretching is going to help with that running and recovering from a run. So those are 2 things I really enjoy. And my last thing, I really try and focus on hydration, electrolytes, and food. So I'm not a big tracker of calories, or I'm not like super specific in a diet. I might at some point, but really what I'm trying to do is just eat as much as possible and stay away from processed foods. But if I'm going to go without lunch versus with lunch that's processed, I'm going to go with the processed food. So I'm not a big fast food eater, but things like Chipotle or just certain rice bowls and things like that, if I decide to pay for lunch opposed to meal prep, I'm going to do it, because for me it's important enough to get a lot of food in and stay clean for the most part. But I'm okay with that variance personally, because when I'm coming off of a race, like, you're so depleted, your muscles have broken down probably more than normal compared to when you're typically training, and I just want to get my body as much of the resources it needs, and that might obviously be protein, carbs, just calories in general. And then the other thing is obviously hydrating, right? Like I'm incredibly dehydrated after every race, as much as I might drink a lot of water and electrolytes throughout it. But you've just gone, at least for me, I've gone to such a point that like, that like my piss is just super yellow because I'm dehydrated, right? Like I can tell, it's like I can feel it in my body or see it when I go to the bathroom, that it's like I need hydration. And so water obviously, but I take several scoops of electrolytes the couple days after racing, because obviously I'm super depleted. So really focusing on eating as much as possible, especially getting a lot of protein in, and then hydrating and electrolytes, I think is a great way for recovery. And I've noticed the times where, even if it's like, for me, a half marathon's not that big of a deal for me because I've been running for years. And so I sometimes I'm like, it was just a half. I don't need to focus on all those other things. But if I'm being honest with myself, even if I wasn't PRing the half marathon, it was still a race. It was still a long run. Like if I wasn't racing a half marathon, I was just training and did a half marathon on a Saturday, then I should still be recovering from that. And so all these concepts apply with long runs, but with any racing distance, especially if you're pushing yourself. Like the 50K on Saturday, I was pushing hard. And so I definitely need to, even though it's only a 50K to me, right? Because I've done several 100-milers and 50-milers, doesn't mean it's a race that I should do any less recovering from. So hopefully these 3 points help, and if you like running content, that's what this channel is about. I'm trying to help people learn from my mistakes, set PRs, hopefully win races if they want that, and overall deepen your connection with running, because running has quite literally saved my life. So if there's something I can say or do to help you deepen your relationship with running, I'm here for it. So if you like that stuff, consider subscribing. If not, I still hope you got something out of this video, and I hope I get to see you in another video sometime soon. Peace.